Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. This podcast is sponsored by Austen Summers Academy, the complete dating system that shows you step by step how to get women into your life with tons of examples and exercises. Link in description. And this podcast is now available on iTunes, Spotify, CastBox, and YouTube. Wherever you may be listening, enjoy. No one knows what makes them happy. People trying to find out the source of their happiness is like impossible. So that they think like once they get a ton of girls, then they'll be happy.
It's
right?
not true.
And then they get a ton of girls and they're like, I mean, this was a cool experience. You know, I enjoy it, but like that's not the only thing that made me happy.
I had a student who lived with me for 6 months. He had this idea that if he got 40 lays, he'd be like a happy person. And he would have like a halo around his fucking...
It's like a pie chart inside you, and each lay just completes you.
So he thought that he thought he would have like this radiating aura. I'm like, bro, this isn't some video game. You're not a paladin with some kind of aura. You're not. It's not like you're gonna go to the club and girls are gonna see you, 50 feet away, and you're glowing.
Starts
like,
levitating.
Yeah,
into the club.
It's not gonna happen. And the way I see it, it's like, once you get laid, you get horny again, right? It's almost like eating food. It's like if you eat today, it's not like you're not going to go hungry tomorrow, right? So I feel like lay is if you're just looking at purely the physical part, it's very temporary.
So welcome to the Austen Summers podcast. This is the mind-expanding podcast to get you the girls you want. I'm Austen Summers, your host, and today I'm joined by Mike SquattinCassanova.
How's it going? Good to be here.
So, Mike, what do you do for a living? How do you make money on the streets?
I hang out in Vegas and I just point my fingers at people. No, I'm a dating coach in Vegas. I've been there for about 5 years. I've been making YouTube videos since 2011. So a lot of things with day game, night game, tactical stuff, a little bit about fitness, workout stuff.
And you have a bunny. So let me guess. I don't even know if you've talked about this or whatever, but do you have pictures and videos of your bunny on your phone ready to go?
Yeah. I would recommend having like a folder of poll suggestions.
Yep.
Right? Because if you say something, they may not believe it, right? But when there's like a visual element, it's more real, right?
So even if you just have a dog, a cat, just film your cat, and then you have like a cool video to show a girl. She goes, "Oh, I love cats." You're like, "Oh, my cat is the cutest." And she goes, "No, my cat's the cutest." And then you're like, "Well, beat this." And then you got a video. You're like, "Yeah." And then later on when you're talking about pulling, you can just seed for that.
Yeah. And you never really know what girls are into, so you want to have a wide variety of different options, right? Maybe it's, some girls, they don't give a crap about bunnies. They want
drugs,
weed.
Yeah.
They want alcohol.
Mm-hmm. And you also said something interesting in one of your videos where you were like, Vegas is a good place to learn game because you have higher simulated odds of like bringing girls back.
Right.
So it's kind of like even if someone's in a more difficult city, say San Francisco or like, I don't know, Baltimore, then they can take the lessons that they've learned from Vegas and apply it to other places. And in some ways, because Vegas is like where girls go to fuck. They're like, I want to get drunk. I want to like fuck a guy. I want to have a threesome. I want to eat a buffet. So they're there for like crazy experiences. So that's the simulated reality there. We're currently in Medellin, Colombia. I didn't mention that, but here it's almost like you're playing a video game, but then the characters that you're competing against, like their rank is just lower. So then you're like more epic. So it's like you come to Colombia, the average person is shorter, lower IQ, so they're less effective at getting things done.
Wait, is that actually true?
Yeah, like the average IQ here is 85, and everyone drinks the tap water. The tap water here has no bacteria because they put a lot of fluoride in it. But like one of the consequences of high amounts of fluoride, everyone knows, is lower intelligence.
So somebody said the IQ thing somebody in this room actually. I thought he was joking, but I guess there's actual literature value.
And it's not like, oh, that's bad or whatever. It's just that's a reality.
That's like really low. Like 85 is like a whole standard deviation. That's really low.
but and then the people you're competing against also have less resources available. So
Correct.
A lot of guys here get priced out of going to a gym. A lot of guys here get priced out of a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
So like they can't just take a girl on a nice dinner date because they just don't have the funds for it.
Right.
So like you come, you're taller, a little bit more jacked, more effective, like, and in a lot of ways you get a more simulated odds. And I think that's why it's good to learn game here as well. The difference is the language barrier, but
you got to dedicate to learning Spanish.
You're jacked out of your goddamn mind, Mike.
I'm above average. I'm all right.
It's the shirt, right?
Sure.
Yeah. So I wanted to ask you how you think fitness increases your game.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's
and you
huge.
can hit it from a lot of different areas too. It's not just like, because a lot of people are just like, oh, you look better, and that's it.
You
it's
do.
Like, no, there's other things too.
Growing up, I was always really skinny, right? So even after graduating college, I weighed around probably 150. So 150 at like 6 feet is pretty skinny, right? So a couple of different reasons I feel like working out really helped me, just because like Asian stereotypes, we kind of have a stereotype of being small and skinny, kind of nerdy, right? So to fight that stereotype, obviously if you're jacked, if you work out, if you don't fit that mold, people don't really put you into that mold, right? So that's one reason I try to work out 3 to 4 times a week. The other thing is you just have more physical presence. And I really noticed that in the clubs. It could be size, it could be height. I do notice students that are taller or just bigger, wider, they're able to hook and approach more effectively. Just because, think about it, you're going up to a girl and you're talking, your surface area kind of affects just her peripheral view, right? If you're small and skinny and, she's wearing high heels, she can't even see you, or, you're just so tiny, it's like you're not even covering her field of view. Versus if you're, I don't know, he's like a big dude. If you're like 500-pound Tyrone and you approach a girl, she may not like your archetype, but like at least she's going to address your presence.
Yep.
And I do notice different students have varying levels of testosterone. And the guys that have high testosterone, they're just relentless. These guys are, they just don't get tired. I've seen one of the indicators of how well a student does, especially during long-term programs, is like the first 2 nights out, how long do they stay, right? And some guys will stay out till 6 a.m, and you just know like they're gonna make it.
Yeah.
Like they just have that drive and energy. And then the guys that come back are like 12:30. It's like, what are you doing, man? The club is open till 4 o'clock. You're leaving a solid 2 to 3 hours behind. So I do think it has to do with testosterone and also your energy levels.
It's also about like what your priority is at the moment. If you're living at home with your parents and you're kind of like you need to focus on your career, maybe dedicating 4 hours per day to pick up isn't the right course of action. But then you have periods where, like, let's say you got some money, you want to chill for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, you can go super hard into it. And a lot of people, you don't have to just build up your life where it's like always the same. And humans are more like cyclical, right? We have periods where like, you know what's funny is for pickup coaches, we have like, people think we're crushing it the most when we're not even gaming that much.
Yeah, dude. I get laid less than a lot of my students, dude.
When we're editing, when we're in editing mode,
It's like,
it's like we're putting out tons of content and people are like, damn, like Mike's crushing it, Austin's crushing it.
yeah, we're just at home on the computer all day.
Yeah. And then the times when the people are like, what happened to the videos? Did you give up on pickup? We're out there like just fucking dominating.
Yeah. I mean, like some of my guys, they're going out 30 days in a row doing like 6 hours of pickup, I've had guys do, get like 6 lays in like 8 days, It's just like I don't have time for that, and it's just not a priority. But I do, going back to your point, I do feel like 18 to 22, you really should just focus on your education and finding a good career, right? And I feel like once you solidified sort of just basic living conditions, being independent, being on your own. So I would say like maybe you work for a year, like 23 to like, I don't know, 23 to 27 is kind of like good. Obviously everybody's circumstances are different, but I would say like 23 to 28 is kind of like a good age range to do pickup. Mm-hmm. And then, you know, people do pickup for like, I don't know, 2 to 3 years. And then I feel like you don't want to just continue that cycle of just going out and get girls like 10 years down the road, right? So, and then once you get the experience, I do feel like you kind of have to find your purpose in life, focus more on your business or kind of goals. And then by that time, you should be more focused on just growing your wealth, growing your empire, and then maybe like outsource some of the dating, you know, like have a VA to like find dates. And I just feel like it's more optimal that way.
It also depends on the person. This gets into philosophy. Like, what if someone just wants to be a dirtbag and just sleep with girls? But a lot of people, they have not a lot of people. Everyone, no one knows what makes them happy. People trying to find out the source of their happiness is like impossible.
The way I see it, it's like, you know, once you get laid, you get horny again, right? It's like, it's almost like eating food. It's like if you eat today, it's not like you're not going to go hungry tomorrow, right? So I feel like lay is very, if you're just looking at purely the physical part, it's very temporary.
It's so temporary. It's exactly like food. You fuck and then like you're sitting there eating like cereal on your counter 2 hours later and you're like, that didn't change me.
Yeah,
you know?
You're the same person.
And I find it's more fulfilling to spend time with girls that you actually enjoy their company. And go on adventures with them, go on hikes, doing cool new things with them. That's way more fulfilling building that bond with someone than pickup. But I mean, pickup's a fucking epic adventure. I think everyone should, or not everyone, but many guys, it's going to be the thing that like just opens every avenue of their life up. But thinking it's the only form of your happiness is silly. It's best like happiness is like a river and it's fed by multiple streams and one is women, right? But just having women isn't going to make you happy.
Howdy, y'all. You just do me a favor and hit that subscribe button right over there. That'd be real nice. You know, I like growing my channel. I like helping you guys out. And hitting that subscribe button helps a lot. See you off yonder now.
That was so good. That was so good, dude. That's amazing, man. That's so good.
This was the condensed version of the podcast, so if you want to listen to the full episode, go to iTunes, Spotify, CastBox, or Google Podcasts.